All right, I thought I would come on quickly and announce that we have just released the first video. I'm going to just adjust my camera here for a second. We have just released the first video content for our $10 plus patrons. And this was for, a Day of Reckoning, which was a conference, an all day conference that we held in Sydney, Australia recently, August 12th. And the first video, what all of the gentlemen on stage discussed was, why can't we have civil conversations about race, politics, gender, etc.? And this features Sam Harris, Douglas Murray, Maajid Nawaz, Bret Weinstein, and Eric Weinstein. And this whole conference was moderated by Josh Zepps. So if you go to patreon.com/Pangburn, you can access this content. I think a lot of you are going to love this. You're going to have your mind blown by people. I don't know how much you guys know of Eric Weinstein's work, but Eric he just has some really interesting thought experiments through this whole conference. So there'll be 4 videos released. So the first one's already out. There's also, of the 4 that will be released, is Sam Harris doing his meditation workshop, which I thought was pretty awesome. It was it was really cool to see Sam in that realm. And then basically, once the meditation workshop was done, the audience had full reign Q&A with him. And for our all-day pass holders, I think we had about 500. So it was a nice, intimate opportunity to speak with Sam directly, which was super cool. I got a couple questions popping up here. Dude, why do you have to use such misleading titles? Don't you see that as wrong? This type of marketing is counterproductive. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's misleading. I'm talking about, and I want people to come in and look at the stuff. Like, there's clickbait titles everywhere. They're on almost everyone's podcast. So I'm okay with it. I mean, maybe it's trolling a little bit, but I don't know. We need more subscribers. Is this intro to the conference? Nice clickbait title. You are terrible at marketing. Fair enough. I think we've done pretty well with our events. We can do better in some realms for sure, but we've been able to sell some pretty big events, world record breaking events. So I think we're doing something right. I'll just download Talk for free. Yeah, a lot of angry people. Sure. Yeah, there's some people that don't appreciate how we've handled the content, but honestly, it's actually made the recording of the content feasible for us now. We've actually built a bit of a following on Patreon, and it's really helped us to make this audio and video capture possible for events. So I thank everyone who is helping us out in that regard. It's been great and very positive. Spencer Harmon says, I don't understand. If you're so angry, why are you here? Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, I if people are angry, I still want people who are angry to engage. I like engaging with people who have a beef, and I'm happy to address that head on. Any questions anyone has. Yeah, the clickbait title, I wanted you to click on it. And I want to attract more people to the content. So I hope you guys give us a chance as a patron and see what we can offer you. $10 plus patrons also get invited to our exclusive Facebook group, and I keep people in the loop. I do a lot more live streaming there. So yeah, you guys can have more access, see what's going on. I often talk about some ideas I'm having about events and discuss them with our patrons. So specifically in that group. So we need to pay live stream eventually. Am I right? Yeah, we've tried the live stream model in the past. I've talked about this on other live streams I've done. we have everyone, it seems like thousands and thousands of people saying and writing into Sam and saying, we need live stream option, we need a live stream option. And then we offer the live stream option, and then it falls flat, and like 30 people sign up for it when we were expecting like 3,000. So it I want to try it again. I'm thinking of possibly trying it for Richard Dawkins and Bret Weinstein, because I think that's such an important event, not just for general intellectual discourse, but I think specifically for the scientific community. I think that's going to be a really important event, and but we are going to be filming that one for sure for our patrons. And then eventually all of our content, once we're able to recoup some of the funds, gets released for free on YouTube. So rock and roll. Just make sure the audio is right. That's a good point by MP Productions that I can address. Just make sure the audio is right on your future videos. So what we typically do when we go into cities is we either have to use the venue recommended audio crew or video crew, or we're able to source one out ourselves. So when we source one out, we always go with the best one available that knows the venue and that's got the best reviews and ratings, or else the venue makes us use their own in-house guys. And unfortunately, sometimes like the quality is shit. Like we could have done better audio capture with like a Zoom unit attached to the console. So we are starting to have some backup plans, but and putting those in place, but the venues sometimes don't even allow us to do the backup plans that we have. So when you're working in the higher level music and concert venues, they have very stringent rules as to what you can and cannot do. So we're always at the mercy of that, but we do our best to try and hire the best people, because just like you guys, I can't fucking stand listening to shitty audio, especially when I'm trying to hear a conversation. Don't use Facebook. Why? Facebook's a great platform. Why is the Day of Reflection event so expensive? I'd love to go, but $500 seems outrageous. Yeah, so the cost for the event is over $500,000 for that event. So that's where we get the $500 ticket price from, and that's before ticketing takes a chunk out of that price. So we're not even getting all that back. So the hope is to get a bit over 1,000 people, so we can make a little bit of money on the event. But we'll see what happens. And then also there's some speakers that get a certain amount of the net. They share in the net in the end. So yeah, it just has to do with how expensive it is to put together an event of that scale in New York City with that many speakers. So a lot of conferences don't even pay speakers. Like it's some of these biggest conferences that have ever been accomplished in the intellectual realm, they didn't pay speakers, and they're still like charging like $250 for a pass, but our speaking fees are like over 300,000 US for this event. So is there anyone who you would love to get involved in an event in the future? Yeah, I've been talking with Elon Musk's people. I really want to do an event with Elon. I actually, funnily enough, a while back, I mentioned that I wanted to do a live discussion with Joe Rogan and Elon, but Joe's schedule wouldn't allow it, and Elon was very busy as well. And I'm so glad that they just did their conversation on the podcast on Joe Rogan's show, like 10 million views already plus. So yeah, I knew that was going to be an amazing conversation. And yeah, and Elon's a funny guy. I just think he's really interesting, and he's a great human being for this world and for future technology. So I'm always interested in what Elon's doing. So Elon Musk would be one for sure. Uh, Tasteless Opinion says, if you did this and tried your best to provide quality, many people would willingly support you. Yeah, I mean, I think we do our best within reason. I mean, we can only access so many resources based on uh, the kind of money pot that we have to pull from at Penguin Philosophy. Um, we're not a big six-figure organization. We're basically built on my back, plus everything that all the speakers and everyone that works so well with us brings to the table. Everyone's so kind that we work with. So it's a very small team that uh, goes after these big opportunities. So um, we hope to kind of, as our patronship grows, and the more we do. I mean, we've only been alive for 2 years, so we're trying to get bigger, we're trying to get better, and so we can bring better quality content, and we hope that we can kind of get a little bit of support before we get to that final level, and then hopefully we can hit that level that everyone's really excited with. um, Rick Hack says, but live stream would be rebroadcast within minutes of completion. You'd have to depend on the goodwill of others on Patreon. We need a network. Yeah, that's a very good point. That you can get into the boxing model of things, where when you have the resources of an HBO, you can hire like companies of thousands of people to monitor pirating online when you're doing these huge pay-per-view matches. So it's something we've considered. Like, one day I want to have Pangburn TV, and that we can live stream to all the supporters these live events. And the key is having the resources to go to war with the pirates, because the pirates are out there and they're going to get that content out there, and there's not going to be any incentive to even buy a ticket for an event. So it gets really difficult. So at this point in time, I think we're kind of in the sweet spot of where we need to be as far as getting this content out to people as quickly as we can without bankrupting ourselves. Ted Bola says, thank you for everything. You bet, man. We're doing our best. Can you say anything about the media assistant job with Armin? Yes, I should mention that as well. We are looking for a media assistant, and this will be a full-time position. It's kind of an entry-level job here, but there will be lots of room to grow. But basically, you're going to be working very close with Armin Navabi, who's our director of media, and doing things like helping manage some of the logistics of what we do online, also cutting video. We got lots of video content coming in, and we're creating a lot. And the things that are really slowing us down is video editing and cutting, but also like doing some social media work as well, putting some ads together, things like that. So basically a lot of everything. We all kind of chip in as a big team. So yeah, there's everything media related, anything the media touches, and that's essentially everything. So there'll be a lot of stuff involved. And also, as the media assistant, you get to know where our secret layer is. They're probably going to be astonished at how small things are here. Elon Figment HF says Elon and Sam would be really good. I think Sam could ask some great questions. Yeah, I know I've spoken to Sam about having Elon on his podcast, and I'm not sure. I think it just burped right into the mic. I hope you guys enjoyed that, but I'm not sure if they're ever going to be able to do it because of Sam's perceived controversy. What percentage of people think that Sam is an alt-right racist? It's like the percentage is like, it's significant, even though it's a batshit crazy belief. It's significant, and perhaps Elon doesn't want to put himself kind of maybe tie himself to Sam Harris, because he wants to sell as many Teslas as he can to God-believing people. Like, who knows? There's probably good reasons why, because I know those guys are close. Yeah. Phil Heth says, thank you. Thank you, Phil. Rock and roll. Has someone run the Rick Hack says, has someone run the numbers on how many are out here hungry for this content? I think it would be shockingly large. Get Peter Thiel on the phone. Yeah, the number is large. We have millions of people working, coming through our circuits that we are constantly tracking and trying to get a beat on the things that people like most about this intellectual movement, the promotion of intellectual discourse. And it's really interesting when you see all the stats and how people move online, and we build our marketing plans and platforms around this kind of data. So we have a pretty good beat on what the numbers are in every market or in every large city, and that's kind of how we start when we are building our marketing strategies. Why have Courtney Richards says, why haven't you refunded tickets for the Auckland Day of Reckoning yet? It's almost been 2 months now, and the communication has been awful. I will look into that. We should be through all of the refunds now. There were inexcusable delays, and a lot of it had to do with the financial burden the event put on us for a period of time, and just having losing like the venue deposit, losing some other money that went to speakers and such. So we yeah, it having to cancel that event was a very difficult decision, because it was going to leave us in a very tough spot financially for a period of time. But we are recouping, which is good. And yeah, it's this game of promoting these live events is so risky that at any time, if something goes south for whatever reason, we can hit rock bottom and need to really act and work in a very very short time frame to make things back, or get things back rolling. So we are I think we are, if not fully refunded, there should be at least 80 or 90% of that is refunded, but I will follow up on that. Thank you for the question. Jim King says, do you have a deal, pay something like X dollars or whatever amount a year and not get invoiced each month? It's something we can look into figuring out. I'm not sure that nothing is set up yet, but we can look at that. Get Tyson, bro. He just did Andrew Clavin from Daily Wire. Yeah, I'm working on. Thanks, Honest Joe. We're working on Neil deGrasse Tyson right now to do some events this spring. So we're hoping he's open to that. I also think there's been a bit of a conscious avoidance from him and his camp. I think it has to do with, we don't have any, we're happy to set up events and speak with anyone. And on my podcast as well, I'm happy to speak with anyone. And I know some people believe in this strange idea of being too triggered or too afraid that even just having a conversation with someone that you have different ideas then is going to land you in hot water. And I hope we get over that soon as a society. But yeah, I hope to do many events with Neil and get him on stage with some people that he's going to have some disagreements with. I want to see more of that from Neil. All right. Yeah, so me and Jason Silva are gonna jump on the phone here soon. We've been meaning to touch base, but we've both been flying in and out. He's on an airplane, I'm on an airplane, so we're gonna catch up soon here, and maybe we'll get together and smoke some cron or something. uh, but I know he was just at Burning Man actually, and we were messaging over Twitter when he was at Burning Man. So we'll we'll get something going soon together for sure. I've been I've been chatting with a few comedians as well, um, about doing some comedy marriage with some intellectual discourse. So I'm looking forward to that. But I gotta run soon here, guys. Um, let's do one more question. Okay, I gotta take this. I gotta take a couple of these. So, number one, when is Lawrence Larry Krauss going to appear on your show? Well, I sent Larry a note after the I guess the BuzzFeed article came out, and we had to agree to have Lawrence not do the event that night. That was kind of a general consensus we all came to, including Lawrence. And after that was all over, I sent him a note saying if he was interested in coming on the podcast to give his side of the story and give himself a voice in something that he, I think, deems to be quite unfair, at least what came out about him. So I gave him that offer, and he hasn't taken me up on it yet, but I've been in touch with him a couple times since. But I think Lawrence is a very important voice for the scientific community. But so there's something interesting that I want to have more conversations about is what penalty does the sexual harasser or sexual klutz pay if they in fact are caught and they are guilty of what they're being accused of? What price should they have to pay, and for how long? Like, how long should Larry be out of the intellectual realm, and how much should he pay? What price should he pay, and how does he pay it? And um, yeah, so is it forever Lawrence is cast away as a sexual harasser, or does he have a chance to redeem himself if he was to take the proper steps? And that tends to be my opinion. If the proper steps are taken, and the proper communication is given from that person out to the public, to make us all know that there's some recognition here, then and that is in fact if some of the allegations are true, and they're based in some form of reason. Where it gets very difficult is if the allegations are false completely, and then if you get someone that refuses to acknowledge these allegations as having any basis in reality, then I think it just makes it very difficult. So I'd love to have Larry on soon. I'd love to talk to him and see how he's doing. And I've spent a lot of time with Lawrence in the past year and a half or so, and yeah, I gotta say I miss talking to the guy. And there was one more. Is Travis a lesbian? Well, I'm not sure I could be a lesbian, but let me back on Twitter. Sorry, I was reading something else. No, I don't think I'm a lesbian, but I could be. I just don't. I couldn't tell you with 100% certainty, because I don't think we can know anything to 100% certainty because of the matrix hypothesis. But okay, one more question. Jim King. I think he means why. Why not have smaller venues and lower your risk and cost? Most people are going to watch online anyway. Go for a bigger audience online and get more subscribers and make money that way. Well, this venture isn't necessarily a money-making venture for me. I want to break world records like we did in Dublin with huge gatherings of people. Because with these large gatherings, what we can do, for instance, in Ireland, that we had 8,500 people out to watch the Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, and Douglas Murray event, we have something tangible to point to say uh, to future politicians or current politicians in Dublin. Critical thinking and intellectual discourse is popular here. It's popular to think. So look at how many people we were able to get out to this event. Then hopefully, my hope is that politicians will start building platforms based around critical thinking and scientific inquiry and intellectual discourse and freedom of speech, as opposed to just pandering to one side or the other when they're putting together their platform. Critically thought out, critically thought out planning. And I think this will just make for better leadership, better policy, and better societies. So getting big audiences together is very important to me, and often the much larger venues are more expensive, but I think it's worth it if we can fill it, and I think we have to try. And this first 2 years of Pangburn Philosophy has been a lot about trying, making some mistakes for sure. I've definitely personally made some mistakes, and I just want to make sure we learn from what we've done. But as long as the philosophy stays clear, let art and science inspire, I think this will continue to grow and become the kind of world movement that I want to see. So those are my just general off the cusp thoughts on that. We obviously do some events in smaller venues, but for the big large scale events where I think we can really do something like break a world record, I want to go for it. Maybe that's just my nature. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming on today. I got to jump on a plane to Montreal in the next 24 hours. So I'm heading down for the Steven Pinker and Michael Shermer event. That's going to be a lot of fun. Our $10 plus patrons will get access to that event as well as the Brian Greene and Sam Harris event that we just did in Toronto, which was just phenomenal. Blew my mind. Turned out exactly the way I thought it would, and I felt like I was in a minority the whole time. So I was pretty happy about that. Anyways, if you want to support us, go to patreon.com/Pangburn. Even $1 per creation helps us out big time. And yeah, I'll be doing a lot more of these chats, and I really thank you guys for your questions. And I love all the kicks to the balls too that you guys give me. It keeps me in check. Thank you, and let art and science inspire.